I got to go right to the phone on line one. Senator Cassidy, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay. How are you?
Joe, I'm fantastic, man. I am fantastic.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Senator. Evidently, you are right in the center of all kinds of things that have been happening, no doubt.
Well, I think it's been some really positive things. I heard your lead in. You were discussing Brett Kavanaugh.
Partially,
and,
yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the American people saw the circus that was his approval, and they've seen the violence that has been encouraged by Washington, D.C. Democrats, and they're disgusted with it, which so am I. And so I think that hopefully the American people understand the choice they have to make, and hopefully they'll choose for a party that's kind of responsible as opposed to one that's become very irresponsible.
Well, I hope so, because if in fact the Democrats take over the House, I mean, it's my opinion, they're going to impeach Trump to begin with.
Well,
for whatever
they
reason.
Said they're going to impeach Kavanaugh. They're going to impeach Trump. They're going to. I mean, it's not the people's business. It is not how do we continue this record of prosperity. It's not how, since Trump came in and unemployment has fallen and investment in the United States has increased, how do we continue that? It's how do we impeach Trump? Now, that's not putting the people's business first. That's putting their own political agenda first, and I'm sorry about that.
No, that's what I see. Well, what's on your mind this morning? What is primary?
So one of the reasons I feel really good today, yesterday I was in the Roosevelt Room in the White House. The president was signing a prohibition on something called gag clauses. So one of your listeners goes to the pharmacist and wants to buy a medicine. If the pharmacist could look at it and say, if you pay cash, it would be cheaper than your insurance copay.
Yeah.
The pharmacist has not been allowed to tell the patient that they could save money by paying cash, because if they did so, they might lose their contract with the pharmacy benefit manager with the insurance company. We outlawed that yesterday. The president signed it into law. Now the pharmacist can act as your advocate as opposed to a representative for the insurance company, and that means that you can save money.
That's big. That could really.
It is big.
That could really.
The president came in saying he wanted to lower drug costs. He's done several things. This is the latest of them, and I'm just pleased in the direction we're going.
And I guess there's no estimate at how much savings is possible with the signing of that legislation, is there?
I'd have to go back and look at it, but for the individual patient, depending on who the insurance company is, it could be $50 a prescription. So you're getting 3 prescriptions a month, and you have 12 months out of the year. That's real money. That's real money.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. Senator, were you did you sponsor that bill?
Yes, I was. I was sponsored the bill, and for that privilege, I got invited to the Roosevelt Room. And president actually have a little pen that the president uses to sign things with.
Oh, you've got one of them?
Well, my Facebook page last night showed him to everybody. So very pleased about that.
Oh yeah, no, that's pretty good. Pretty good. What do you? What can we look forward to, in your opinion, relative to the time between now and this election?
So we're going to pass. Yeah, we continue to work on stuff. Yesterday we passed the Water Resource Development Act, which has lots of resources, if you will, to help South Louisiana and North Louisiana in terms of our water infrastructure, deepening channels. Now, what does that mean? If you deepen the channel, that means that more people in Louisiana are employed working on boats, loading boats, otherwise shipping cargo around the world. And so, again, a real positive development for working people in our state, because so many of our jobs depend upon a functioning inland waterway as well as ports like the Calcasieu Ship Channel.
Well, so, yeah, I know.
Some real positive stuff there.
No, I know you're very well aware of, us needing this ship channel dredged from time to time to keep it at its maximum effectiveness, coming into the port of Lake Charles, no doubt about it.
I'll give a real shout out to the folks down who operate that port, because they've done a real good job of showing this is how many jobs are involved. This is the economic opportunity it means, not just for Cameron and Calcasieu in southwest Louisiana, but for our entire country. Think about it. People are now opening up the Haynesville Shale, which is the natural gas field in North Louisiana, because we're shipping so much gas overseas that they're now, again, a shale play that had not been active is getting reopened to provide the gas that can be shipped around the sea, around the world. And that gas is going out of the Calcasieu Ship Channel. And so that port in southwest Louisiana is helping folks in North Louisiana. But it's also helping folks up in Pennsylvania, because some of the gas being shipped is coming out of Pennsylvania as well. A lot of jobs being created. Again, it's a good story about the Trump economy.
Oh, well said. And I preached that story all those years I worked for the Chamber about the importance of this port, not only to us, but to the country. No doubt about it. Do you find any change in terms of any positive movements? I've been talking about civility for a good portion of this morning, and we had Hillary Clinton's comments about destroying your opposition, and Holder talking about when they're down, kick them. What is the environment like with the U.S. Senate right now?
So you've got some people who are incredibly irresponsible, who will just tell people who might be unhinged, get in their face, because they were so upset about Brett Kavanaugh being a conservative and being placed on the Supreme Court. I'm pleased to say that's 3 or 4 people. There are more people who want to see our country's business done. I say that because I'm working on several things to lower health care costs. And I need Democrats to cooperate, because you need 60 votes to get something passed in the Senate.
Yeah.
And Democrats want to lower health care costs too. And so we are collaborating, bipartisan. Now, there might be some rhetoric, but as a rule, on these issues, with most senators, there is bipartisan work. That said, Joe, you have 1 or 2 people out there preaching to the mob. Let's go out and get in their face, kick them when they're down. Don't be civil till we're back in control, and that can undo a lot of positive things. I'm very sorry these people are being so irresponsible.
Do you feel that the mood and the attitude in the Senate is more on the let's cooperate side, or let's continue to fight side? I mean, the control that Schumer has over the Democrats, to me, is unbelievable.
There is this terrible rhetoric, and there are people telling get in their face sort of thing. Boy, if conservatives did that, don't you think the mainstream media would be all over?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt.
But I can say that yesterday we passed, again, this water resources bill, which is going to be a big for South Louisiana and across the country. Last week we passed the Federal Aviation Administration reauthorization bill, which had several things in there helping people who in Louisiana who have been flood victims in 2016, provisions I was able to personally work on and get into the bill. And we continue to work on flood insurance, which is very important to our nation, but particularly to Louisiana. So we got 2 things going on. We got cooperation on some stuff that's really important to working people in our country and in our state. And then we've got this rhetoric from a few, which is very obnoxious, very destructive, and potentially bad ramifications. It's a tale of 2 sentences right now.
There's talk now that there's a possibility of the Republican Party picking up an additional seat or 2 in the Senate. If that happens, what will the impact be on this concept of, let's cooperate more?
I can't speak for the other side, and I think that if Republicans end up picking up 2 or 3 Senate seats, it is going to be a statement. If Democrats, Washington, D.C. Democrats, not Louisiana Democrats, but if Washington, D.C. Democrats behave as they did during the Brett Kavanaugh hearing, then it is going to be bad for your party, bad for your brand. If you refuse, if all of a sudden you can just accuse somebody and therefore they're guilty and you're going to go out and encourage mob action, the American people don't like that. They think there should be a fair shake for all Americans, and you can't bring somebody down just by a single accusation that is uncorroborated. And they really don't think you should be supporting mob action. And so hopefully they'll get the message and begin to behave responsibly.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Well, I noticed, I remember back on your website, I guess, you had a rather comprehensive bunch of stuff about affordable care, care. And
Healthcare.
Yeah. And how far along that do you think we can get, or have we got? Now, the prescription thing is part of it.
Yeah, we're working at it, and we've worked very closely with the Trump administration. And they've looked at some of our ideas. They had similar ideas, and frankly, they'll tell us sometimes they've adopted our ideas. But this gag clause that we talked about earlier, the administration has been trying to get rid of it just by making rules. We just passed a law, and so now we can get it done. There's other things that they are similarly working on that I have on my website, cassidy.senate.gov, making healthcare affordable again, just a white paper on it. And they are adopting some of those ideas, and we're working hand in glove. So is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to happen over the course of a year? Over the course of a year, we're going to see things that give the patient the power to have lower costs, the power to know the price, therefore shop for the best deal. And the administration's committed to helping, and I'm extremely pleased about that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because, as I recall, that was a rather comprehensive set of ideas and concepts that you put into that, as you call it, a white paper. It's more than one paper, I can tell you that much, as I recall.
But it's not hard to read, so if somebody's interested, I encourage them to log on, and if they've got ideas. The gag clauses, by the way, that came from pharmacists in Louisiana coming with the concept and the idea and the problem, and it was folks back home who came to Washington to educate me and others that drove that. And that's the way our government's supposed to work.
Yeah, no, you're right there. You're right there. Well, Senator, we're about to run out of time. Any last-minute thoughts or random thoughts for our listeners?
You know, I'll just say that I do think this midterm election is important. If you have friends that may not vote, but you know they're going to go out and vote for a Republican, if they do, give them a call. They need to vote on November the 6th because this Trump economy that has brought prosperity back to our country, with now wages beginning to rise and better jobs and better benefits, is only going to stay going if we keep our Republican House and Senate. So, Joe, if one of your listeners has a friend in high school that now lives in some other state, get on the phone, call them. You got to vote. In fact, get 2 more of your neighbors to vote. That's how good things happen. We need our side working for good things.
I could not have said that better myself, Senator. Well said. And let me thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you, Joe. See you, man.
Hey, Senator Bill Cassidy, one of our United States senators. It's Random Thoughts while shaving here on Super Talk 1400 KAOK.